Books on Tape presents It Sleeps in Me by Kathleen O'Neill Geer. Read by Lina Patel. Prologue. Of course you don't understand. How could any sane person believe that he is still alive inside me? He's my heartbeat, my breathing. He's always there looking out through my eyes. It doesn't matter that he's been dead for... Yes, of course, I know how crazy that sounds. But this madness isn't recent. It started the moment I met Flint. That first moon was one breathless secret rendezvous after another. His best friend, Skinner, or a slave or a traitor, anyone who wished to help the young lovers, would bring me a message. He's in the charnel house, or you'll find him at the canoe landing. Often it was, go to him in the forest near the giant red bay tree, the dead oak covered with moss, the shell midden near the lake. I had seen 14 winters. I loved him desperately. Despite my mother's orders to stay away from Flint, I'd excuse myself from whatever meeting I was attending and run all the way to meet him. We loved each other in caves and moss-shrouded meadows, even treetops. The massive oak branches provided perfect hideaways where we would lie together for half the day, exploring the other's body, listening to the oblivious people who walked the trails below. The sensations he brought forth during those lazy days of touching left me feeling as though the gods themselves had taught me what it meant to be human. But it was really Flint who taught me. What? I'm sorry, what did you ask? No, it happened in the first half moon. He talked me into wearing loose-fitting clothing so that, no matter where we happened to be, I could just spread my legs and allow him to enter me. Even in the dark moments when his needs shocked me, he managed to make me relax enough that I didn't resist. I remember once, 10 days after we met, my mother ordered me to attend a council meeting with her. She was grooming me for my eventual rise to the position of High Chieftess of the Black Falcon Nation. Just before the meeting, I met Flint in the forest, and he tucked an oiled wooden ball inside me, which he tied in place with a strip of woven hanging moss cloth, expertly passed between my legs and knotted around my waist beneath my dress. Throughout the meeting, whenever I moved, it caressed me. By the time the meeting was over, all he had to do was touch me for waves of joy to explode in my body. From that day onward, the carefully selected objects he brought into our life evoked a searing sweetness. It didn't take long before I couldn't even use a stone to pound dirty clothing in the lake without thinking of what Flint might... No, just the opposite. The euphoria intensified over the 14 winters we were married, probably because our couplings grew progressively more dangerous. He took me wherever and whenever he pleased. During a midnight ceremonial, when hundreds of people filled the plaza, he would push me against a dark wall and take me standing up. Or he'd slip a marble owl inside me before I had to discuss a critical trade agreement. Then he would watch my eyes during the negotiations. More than the owl, it was his expectant gaze that brought me pleasure. Don't look at me like that. I'm trying to explain why I had no choice but to kill... No, I couldn't run away. He would have followed me. He would not leave me alone. And I could not stay away from him. I wanted Flint inside me. Chapter 1. Spiderwebs, blown free by the spring wind, drifted across Persimmon Lake and strung glittering filaments on the sunlit oaks that ring the 7 pyramid-shaped mounds of Blackbird Town. But the people who stood in the broad plaza barely noticed. They had their gazes on the field, watching the game play out. As Chieftess Sora ran down the field after the chunky stone, she didn't recognize War Chief Skinner, not at first. All she saw was a muscular man brushing webs from his long black hair as he walked through the shadows of the mounds. A massive chert war club hung from his belt, and he had a bow and quiver over his left shoulder. He used his spear as a walking stick. Warriors unconsciously placed their hands on belted stilettos as Skinner passed by, while women turned to stare admiringly at the stranger dressed in a war chief's raiding garb. His knee-length buckskin shirt was plain, except for the shark's teeth sewn across the front, and the red buffalo wool sash that belted his trim waist. As she neared the throwing line, Sora called, "Your cast or mine, Wink." 50 paces ahead of her, the chunky stone, round and about the width of her hand, rolled like the wind. "My cast," Matron Wink shouted from her right. When her foot hit the casting line, she launched her spear. 36 winters had passed since Wink's birth. More gray than black shimmered in her long braid, and wrinkles incised laugh lines around her ample mouth. Her given name, the name bestowed upon her at her initiation in the woman's house, was Marsh Wren, but she'd had a bad habit of winking at people. The nickname had stuck like boiled pine pitch. Wink's spear arced upward, and hundreds of onlookers made odd sounds. One of the opposing headmen reached the casting line and hurled his spear. For a deadly serious game, the rules of Chunky were relatively simple. Whoever hit the stone earned 2 points. Whoever's spear landed closest to the stone earned 1 point. They played 3 games, each to a score of 6. Sora slowed to watch the 2 spears sailing toward the rolling Chunky stone. Her white dress, made from combed palmetto threads, fluttered in the wind. Wink stopped beside Sora, breathing hard. Though Sora was 4 winters younger, they'd been friends since childhood. While Sora had ascended to the chieftainship, Wink had become matron of their Shadow Rock clan. They both wore elaborately incised copper breastplates that signified their status. Sometimes she thought she knew Wink better than she knew herself. The reverse was certainly true. "That's Chief Shorttail's spear right behind yours," Sora said. Wink glanced at Shorttail and Pocket Mouse. Both chiefs wore red knee-length shirts decorated with shells from the far western ocean. "I know. I saw the moron cast." Sora suppressed a smile. Wink's candor was legendary, though few people appreciated it. In fact, most of the other matrons and chiefs heartily disliked her because of it. Wink groaned when the heavy stone slowed and fell onto its side just before the spears landed. Almost at the same time, her spear lodged in the ground a good pace from the stone. Chief Shorttail's spear landed ahead, but it looked to be about the same distance away. "Oh, gods, what do you think?" Wink asked. "I can't tell." As the judges trotted out to see who had scored, Sora's heartbeat quickened and her head grew light. People shoved to the very edge of the field, trying to get a better look. Sora whispered, "If you scored, we win, and it's over. If not..." "If not," Wink inhaled a deep breath and let it out in a rush. "We have one more cast to stop a war that will surely destroy our people." One of the judges, old club in his hand, pulled a coil of twine from his belt. The other judge, the young warrior, Far Eye, held the end of the cord against the stone, while club in his hand extended it out to Shorttail's spear point. They made an odd pair. Club in his hand was short, with a full head of gray hair, while Far Eye was tall and lean. Tattoos covered every part of his body. His long black hair hung to the middle of his back. Wink called him her nephew, though that wasn't technically true. Wink's brother had married a woman from the Water Hickory clan, and since the Black Falcon Nation traced descent through the female, that meant Far Eye was really Water Hickory clan, not Shadow Rock clan. But Wink loved the youth, as if he were her own nephew. Hisses of disapproval went up from Sora's side as the judges lifted the twine for the audience to see the measurement. Shorttail's people remained silent, gazing wide-eyed at Wink's spear. They seem to be holding...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?